And you do that for me?
Sweet. All right.
Here in a second. I think we're live.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. So as we get started here, and we're trying to make this visible for everybody, this will be a fun week, just to kind of talk. And honestly, I'm going to use this as, the time to release, or just at least vent and get things out there. Especially after, I know we titled it here, 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks. For those that don't know, us living in Southwest Florida, of course, we get a lot of stuff that I forget that it's like, it's our local news in a way, where like this is everything that we've been thinking about for the last month is hurricanes. We had Hurricane Helene, and then we had Hurricane Milton, and then now we have Hurricane Nadine that everybody's
that's a lie.
I know. I was like rumors about Hurricane Nadine, but it's a farce. But people are just, again, this is panic mode. But I forget that this is kind of our isolated little world here in Florida, and even Georgia as well probably feels it as heavily. But people in the other areas of the states up north, over Texas and beyond, is probably isn't something that is what they're top of mind thinking. So I forget that we're in our little bubble, which is Southwest Florida, or even Florida. So people are kind of going on in their lives, but we're a little bit crazy right now.
Oh yeah, it brings out a 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks. We didn't get direct hits, but our area is really prone to flooding, so we did get flooded with both hurricanes. Our downtown, Fort Myers Beach. But this brings out a crazy in you.
Yeah.
And a crazy in others that you've never seen. It's really interesting. It brings out like anxiety and stress in others. But the 2 weeks of interruptions in your life has been interesting. The one thing I can say, Chris, is that we didn't get off our diet. No, I don't call it diet. We didn't divert from our health journey.
Yep.
At all. We stayed strict on our health journey. We did worry about if we lost power for too long, how would we eat? Because we practice carnivore. So I'm like, I got to know how to cook a steak with no power. And I didn't have a grill because I got rid of it last summer and I haven't bought a new one. But from a business owner's perspective, I learned a lot watching our community, watching our employees, watching our customers, watching other businesses. I got super intrigued, like how other businesses were operating.
Yeah.
I went to Costco's. We went to Costco's at like 7:30 at night, the day before it hit, I think, and they were open. And no, 2 days before it hit.
Yeah.
And a lady asked on the way out, "Hey, are you guys going to be open tomorrow?" And the Costco's employee said, "We don't know yet. Like they tell us the morning of." And I thought to myself, here I am, a significantly smaller business owner than Costco's, worried about like not knowing what to tell my employees. When Costco's, it made me feel like, okay, like to not know to announce something to like that morning of, because sometimes I think that we think we need to have it together and we need to be organized. And that is an obsession of mine. We need to be organized or have a plan, but you can have a plan, but it's okay that in your plan, you don't have a plan, like that you're playing this part by ear.
Yeah.
Right. You're assessing. So we built a pretty monstrous disaster plan. And I think the biggest thing, even Chris said it when we built it, was the role of the owner.
Yeah.
It morphed into this giant role of a leader, like advocating to customers, to the community, and to our employees, and that the content needed to go both ways, like the videos, the messages, the tips. If it was good enough for our employees, it has to be good enough for customers.
Yeah. And what I saw was, it was crazy. In one is there was already something there in terms of let's say a hurricane a disaster plan.
Yes, I already had a hurricane disaster plan.
But what was crazy was that, we visualized it, meaning that like it was placed on our process maps. It was visualized.
So we took it from being a playbook, like on a Google Doc, because I didn't feel that it was enough. Like I couldn't see the days and how it was leading up, and I couldn't like assess that here's what I was supposed to do. So we took it off of a Google Doc and we put it on a process map. And man, it kind of just took it to the next level. And it was just really interesting to see, but it kept me on point of like, hey, when should I touch base with customers, employees, how often, what time, assessing the weather.
And not just you, but
oh no,
everybody.
There were roles for everybody, the office staff, the marketing team. Here's a great tip for everybody watching. My ad cost, let's see, quadrupled for a cost of a lead. So, and everybody's going to be like, why did your cost of a lead on Google and Facebook quadrupled? And I knew this during Ian. I went in and I shut all those ads off and I ran different kind of ads, more like tips and like help you prepare. And last hurricane, I turned off the bottom funnel ads. I turned them off. This hurricane, for God's sakes, because they were like morphed into 2 weeks, I had turned them back on and then I forgot to turn them off. It was in the process map and we have that there to guide us, right?
Yeah.
I turned them on and I left them on and I forgot that they were running. And I went to sponsor some of our hurricane posts to boost them, to get some traction, to get it out there. There was no sell. We were just trying to get our content further to help people prepare. And I noticed that my bottom funnel lead ads were on, and I paid it 4 times the cost for a regular lead, and I got 2 leads in 2 days, and they were 4 times the cost. Why? And so that's why we have these processes. That's why we have to pay attention. Well, because nobody was looking for house cleaning.
Supply and demand.
Nobody was looking. It didn't get cheaper. It got astronomical. And then so that was while the actual hurricane was hitting, but the 2 days leading up, like 2 literal leads that cost me 4 times as much as they usually do.
Yeah.
So I did turn it off. And these are the things that we learn. Like, you don't think that you're going to learn these things. So we have a few people watching. Kayla, hey, I heard, is your baby shower today or is it tomorrow? I know there's a baby shower soon. And you have to send us your address so we can send you a little, we have a little gift for our Woot Recruit babies. And Raquel is watching, and oh my God.
Yvinson.
So, we learned so much, but I don't know where we were going with this. We didn't divert from our diet, our plan.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that visualizing the disaster plan, the hurricane for us in Southwest Florida, the hurricane plan, visualizing it. And then you were saying about the ads and the ad cost.
Oh yeah, my ad cost was insane. Teresa's watching. Teresa, you make sure you turn off your ads.
But what was amazing, what was insane is taking what I would call like version 2 of your disaster plan, or honestly, probably version 3, and visualizing it in a process map. And what we did was we combed through it again. And I see Jeremy's on here, by the way.
Oh man, dude, I saw your house. I'm so sorry. Jeremy's in Tampa. So I think a tree went through your garage. But hopefully you're doing well. And if you're on here, you have internet. But so back to go ahead, combing through it.
So coming through it, and then again, because every iteration that you have of something is always an improvement on it. And so,
yeah, to me, it's playbooks, processes, and maps are never static.
No, but what I found amazing was that we took this, I would imagine it was probably at the time 50 different layers or 50 different points on the disaster plan. And now this thing is a beast of probably at least 100 different points inside of this process, again, you're talking about every different position. You're talking about sales and marketing, social media, the owner, the managers, the admin, the customer success, all these different things layered in, more than 100 points inside of this disaster plan from a 5-day rolling.
It was 2 weeks.
I'm sorry,
actually.
2 weeks, and there's different layers coming into the actual event, which is landfall.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple days, about 4+ days after landfall, and everything that needs to be positioned, placed, done, addressed, notified, everything like that is in there. It's insane.
Yeah.
So much.
And you have to remember, Teresa said she learned so much. When you're making anything for content wise, for social media, for your community, for your employees, it needs to be able to be used across all platforms or sectors. So it's like, if I'm making it for my customer, it's got to be good enough for our employees. It's got to be good enough for the general community. That way you're not making multiple pieces of content, and also that your content or your tips or resources help your technicians. Like we gave we posted it publicly on our Facebook page, like the disaster FEMA sign up. And then we also gave it to our employees, or shared the link to our page with the employees. Sad part is they don't even have anything for this hurricane.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, but I think it's good because you have to go back and reassess. Like Teresa said, she learned so much more. You're going to keep learning like more and more and more.
I thought she said, I learned so much, I need more lawyers. I was like,
no,
100%.
layers.
She needs more layers. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, even now, is it 2 days past the hurricane?
Yeah.
There's other things that we didn't account for, which is probably more of a, public perception protocol.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we had an entertaining night last night. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope she's watching. I hope you're watching. So I'm doing so here's the thing. If you're going to put yourself out there to your employees, to your customers, and to your community to help, because that's what we're here. We're a small business. We're here to help. Don't just sit back and let something go by, whether it's a snowstorm, like I said, a hurricane, a tornado.
If you're hurting, others are hurting.
And my employees probably got tired of seeing my face. I did a video every morning and every afternoon for the 5 days leading up to it. Just like, hey, we're assessing. Hey, there's gas over here. Like, hey, I came out and everything looked fine, because they needed that positivity and that grounding. And so that was me. I didn't do as much touch points with the customers, because the office did that, right? Our sales, our customer success, our scheduling, they did the touch points. I didn't. I just told them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was the face for the employees. The office was the face for the customers. But I was the face during social media. So, we went hard and heavy to help our employees and our customers, everybody. And you have to be ready for backlash. Hey, Eric's on here.
And Eric, by the way, underwent a lot of the hurricane as well.
Yeah, he was
from
in
Mexico,
Cancun, man,
right on the peninsula, the
Yucatan.
Yeah.
So I think they did make it safe back. I thought I saw them fly back and they made it safe. But let's go back to a plan afterward. So we've positioned some marketing. So you can't just sell, right? You're like, oh my God, like we need business, we need volume. I've talked to so many companies in this area, in all of Florida, even if they're on Daytona Beach, revenue is absolutely horrible. So you want to go back to selling, but like, how do you sell right now? Like, how do you do that? And how do you engage in social media? And so the first thing I have to tell you is you have to have thick skin. If you're going to do what I did, if you guys follow me on my personal page and on Organize It, you have to have thick skin, because there are some trolls out there that are absolutely horrible. And during a time like this, people are irrational. Like, they're just nuts. But I know that I can help more people than this won't hurt anybody, like nobody. And it's also that our employees see us as leaders and taking charge, and we're not scared, because we're approaching this like head on. So I gave away 100 free cleanings to first responders, and we're still looking for more first responders. We haven't filled up all the spots.
Yeah.
But dude, did I get the wrath of somebody yesterday? And her daughter was a first responder and nominated her daughter. And we already put her daughter on the schedule. And then maybe that person had too much wine last night. I'm not sure. But dude, she started to then slander me on social media. And it was okay because you know what? You slander my business. I'm just like, it's just like my kids. I will do anything at all costs to protect my children and my business and my business. So she was trying to call me, she was trying to say that I was being unethical and I was using my business to help others. Scamming to help others. Of course, I'm trying to use it to help others. And she's like, shame on you. So what did Libby do? I posted a public video telling that, shame on her for losing faith in humanity. All we were trying to do was help. And her daughter was one of the people that we gave a cleaning to. So I don't even know where it was coming from. That's why I think, people lose their minds. And I then started to hunt her down. And she blocked me and she blocked Organize It. And it's okay because then we found a flyer and she was doing the same thing. She had copied my idea of giving away free service or helping first responders. And her number was on the flyer. So what did Libby do last night? I called her. And I wanted to make sure that she understood who I was. Because please don't question my integrity. Like, at the end of the day, like I may be open and honest and direct, and some people don't like that. But at the end of the day, my integrity is so strong, it's probably to a fault. Chris is laughing because he knows it.
Oh yeah.
But when you do these things, you get trolled. You get trolled. Even just for giving tips on like sleep in your clothes, because if you get hit, it's going to be dark. You're not going to have power. You're not gonna be able to find your clothes. Like
you got bashed just for posting a tip and trying to share insights.
Yep. But I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I learned from a great businessman named Kenneth Feld is that, there's no such thing as bad media. You can't pay for that kind of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that all in our plan. Like, what do we do pre, during, post? How do we communicate with our employees? That was a challenge. It was a challenge because you just didn't know what to say sometimes.
Yeah.
And you didn't have an answer. You're like, I don't know. Are we open tomorrow or are we not? Raquel is here. Hey, Raquel.
I saw a couple of people jump on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not showing up anymore.
They were when
Chelsea. I saw Chelsea.
But if you guys have questions at all about like, what did we do? What was going through our mind? Like Teresa, I just said, dude, my AdWords went astronomical. I was like, we spent like $300 on 2 leads in 2 days or something. It was like $240 some. No, $340 some. I was like, oh my God, turn it off. So just these little tips. And I think I know I'm lucky. I'm extremely lucky. And so for any of my entrepreneurs out there, if you have a spouse, I'm lucky because as I was in action, Chris was writing it down. Like he was noticing what I was doing and how I was responding, because some of the stuff I didn't have it in the playbook. It's inherent. It's natural. And as I was working, Chris was documenting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm lucky in that way. So if you can have somebody watch you, shadow you, record yourself, the voice recorder on my phone is like my best friend. Be careful because you never know if Libby's recording a conversation with you. Only because I can learn from it. So what did Teresa say? Chelsea said, hey guys, love what you're doing and love your thick skin.
Yeah.
Teresa said one thing we've struggled with when all communications was out, but I'm not sure much can be done about this. So, Teresa, we looked into some of the walkie-talkie apps, but you still need cell service. So those didn't work either. So when communications go down, what we do is we focus on email. Um, Email needs the least amount of signal to send out, but you still need some sort of service.
So I'll be straight up with you. Not trying to sway anybody in any decision, but when the hurricane was coming through, we left to Miami to make sure that, you know, at least we had the kids. So it's kind of like we have to take ownership of making sure that everybody's okay, even if we wanted to just weather it out here. But we left to Miami and trying to figure out the status on things, and it was nerve-wracking keeping up every 5 minutes on social media. It can burn you out like no other. But we kept checking on the cameras in the house, and we had power. There was outages because the times reset, but it was surprising that we had power almost the entire time.
The office lost power.
The office lost power, but we had power. But that being said, is if there's other outages, and let's just say that here locally we have CenturyLink, we have Comcast, whatever.
Starlink.
We have Starlink. And I just have to give that shout out, and I don't want to get like political or nothing like that, but Starlink has saved our butt more times than we could ever have imagined. The fact that we had visibility, because, you know, other providers, you know, when there's a storm, even though it's an actual wire going to the service, everybody's on it and it doesn't work. Yeah. Or there's so much wind and so much rain that it sags the lines and it causes disruptions, and you don't have anything in terms of communication. So back to what Teresa was saying, is that communication was out. There's things that we have on the disaster plan, the hurricane checklist, that plans for being without communication. And so there's certain things and touch points and prep points that we put ahead of time to make sure that everybody, even if the communication's out, there's always something either they're planning for, expecting, or that's going to happen at a certain point. And honestly, Starlink is one of them.
Yeah, Starlink is in our plan because, one, we can take it with us. You can. It would be hard. We don't have the travel one. But also we had a plan of how to keep the modem powered on, because it takes very little power. If we lost power, we would still have internet because of Starlink. That's why Starlink works so well in Tennessee when they shipped in all those units, because it's a satellite. So it runs on its own satellites. So it really helps. And so all we needed to know was, how do we keep the modem powered and how much power does it take? So we had a plan. The battery backups or even the inverter for your car can run the modem.
Yeah. And if you wanted to just like buy a Furman or something like that, that's really big, robust, hospital grade, UPS, uninterruptible power supply. I see Samaria's on here. Yes. So she's Tennessee. Hopefully she did well.
Other side, Tennessee. She's Nashville.
Side. Yeah. But I meant for Helene.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It was, but yes.
Yeah.
So we had a plan with Starlink to keep internet. So we had internet, Teresa. Even if we lost power, everyone would lose internet if they had CenturyLink and Comcast if our power went down. So that's what was our plan. But back to, how do you communicate? So we communicate through email, because when there's not enough internet, we went 4 weeks without internet during Ian. 4 freaking weeks.
Yeah.
Your CRM won't even load. Talk about a schedule or being schedule dependent. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Because we were running on hotspots, and then all the cell services throttle your data.
And the towers.
That's what Joanne's going through right now. She's trying to run on a hotspot. I told her, order a Starlink. Like, I'll drive, go find a Starlink. And so that's what she's trying to do, because they throttle so you don't have service.
And God forbid that there's a tower out in the area, and then everybody's jumping on that tower.
So we learned that during Hurricane Ian, is that everything has to go through email. And we do keep you guys are going to laugh at me. We do keep an Excel sheet of all of our current customers. Now, it may not be up to date, but we have an Excel sheet of all of our customers. It's kept up to date. It doesn't necessarily have their scheduled day. It just has the customer, the phone number, the type of service, and the email address. Why do we do that? So that when we do lose power, or we can't load our CRM, because you cannot be third-party dependent. So we use the spreadsheet. We use email addresses to communicate, and our employees even know that if we cannot get a hold of them, like if like Teresa said, WhatsApp was down, we use Google Chat. We use email, so our technicians know to check their email because we're not getting through to them, and so email takes like the least amount of data to send.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So great questions. And, I think just, you can never plan for it. Never plan for
Perfectly.
it. No,
Yeah.
perfectly. It's always an ideation. Is that what the right word?
Iteration.
Iteration. It's an evolving process. And I hope that nobody has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, man, it teaches you some lessons about what's important. It teaches you that you have a lot of stuff that you don't need, or that you can get by without. It teaches you not to be so dependent on certain things, certain people, certain softwares. Yeah. And it also teaches you, and here's the one thing I want to say to everybody, and so many people might argue with this. So, I'm a big Cameron Harrell fan. I love him, dude. He's so neurotic and quirky, and that's my type, if you can't tell. I love Cameron Harrell. I think he's a genius. I've read all of his books, but he has a quote, and I would love to challenge him on this quote. And it's that you can't crap in 2 toilets at once, right? That's his quote. He doesn't say crap, but I don't want to get blocked. And well, Cameron, you can't tell me you don't own multiple businesses. 1, that's why I want to argue it. But 2, if all I owned was this cleaning company, I would be screwed. So that whole can't put all your eggs in one basket. People say that, and you can't. But there was a popular saying going around in a group that I'm in, and I would challenge it, because if I wouldn't have diversified, if I wouldn't have opened another location, we have 2 locations. We were cleaning in other places while this place was shut down. If I wouldn't have opened a software recruit and then another one, Service Cart, I would literally not be well right now, because I will have put in all my eggs in that basket. Mm-hmm. And you just keep getting knocked down, and you just feel like, oh my God. And then it does it again and again and again. And it's like a constant cycle of playing catch up. And then you get mad at yourself and you wonder why, man, I can't reach my goals. Man, I can't we keep going backwards, and then we get back to where we were at, and then we get hit again. And then it's like, I got tired of that. So I challenged that statement that you can't shit in 2 toilets at once.
Yeah.
Who in the world that's successful has told you, oh, put all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah.
and I'm like, I do not believe that. And I argue that statement. I get it. I understand it. You can't give 100% to everything. You can only give 50% to something and 50 to something else. And that's fine. I'd rather do that and diversify than to, constantly be playing catch up.
Yeah. So a few things I want to say about that, but real quickly, I saw Joanne Bracco just jumped on. Joanne's
in St. Pete, guys.
Yeah. You're talking about Ground Zero.
Yeah.
So Joanne, I hope you're doing well. I know that you have a ton going on, so I really appreciate you for jumping on here, even if it's just for 15 seconds. I really appreciate you taking that time, because I know that you are currently busy and hustling with Love Thy Neighbor and getting things out to the community. So,
and if anybody wants to help the area, Joanne has an amazing nonprofit called Love Thy Neighbor. And she takes donations. I think she has an Amazon cart. She's had this nonprofit for years. My son helps with the marketing for this nonprofit. And if you just want to help, she's a great resource. So reach out to Joanne.
Yeah. But back to what you were saying about crapping in 2 toilets.
Yes.
Seeing you go through this hurricane, which is a little bit different. And again, the whole idea of diversifying companies. What I saw you do this time around was that you actually, again, in terms of intent and focus, deep work, you spent 100% of your time focused in a short amount of time on the company that needed it most at that time. Wood Recruit was self-running.
They
Like,
didn't even hear from me for like 2 weeks because it was one hurricane and then it was like the next hurricane. I do a Friday video with them and I was like, hey guys, I'm alive. I'm here. I'm like, I'm sorry.
yeah,
But, and I just thanked them greatly because, dude, they did not even bother me with a question.
yeah, yeah. And so again, you were like non-existent and just again 100% focused on the one toilet, which at this time was Organize It in Southwest Florida. But again, it was intentional. It was deep focus. It was exactly what was needed at that time. Same thing that others do. Like I know that like Elon Musk and stuff. You know, people have.
Are you comparing me to Elon Musk? I'll take it. Just his success.
Yeah, no, but like there's other people out there that have more than one toilet.
Yes.
And they're taking the time to focus on that one thing in the time that it's needed most, and then they pull away and step out to the other thing that needs it most.
Yeah.
But what they don't do is they don't get stuck in that one thing for too long.
No, and they're not scared to hand it off and hire great leaders and let them people lead.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it. To me, is like that's the only way you could do it. Is you have to have the ability to hire and retain great people and to trust. Trust to me is like the biggest missing element to everything that just happened. Whether it's a hurricane, it's diversifying, it's having multiple businesses. It's trust. Like we don't trust the tips. We don't trust your company. We don't trust that, like even just say like the Woot Recruit staff couldn't run it on their own and I felt like I needed to be involved. No, they did it, but they did it better without me.
Yeah.
And it's trust. And if we don't have that trust, then yes, you cannot crap in 2 toilets at once.
Yeah. And that trust, I think, only came from that high degree of transparency that you pushed out there constantly, so that people could ride on, she's doing it, let's go ahead and do it too.
Yeah.
So I think that most importantly is if you didn't have that transparency in there, if you weren't constantly updating, pushing and addressing things, that you probably would have had people who were a little bit upset. And I'm talking about like employee wise, internally or whatever. And there wouldn't have been this collaborative, we got this together feeling.
Dude, I communicate with our staff through video. And if you're an owner on here and you're not doing video for your staff, and essentially, I don't care who you are, there's a remote element to your company, whether you're a power washing company, a window washing, because they're in the field, whether you're a cleaning company, they're in the field, whether you're software, because then they're remote. And even my home service companies have remote employees. And if you're not using video to communicate to your employees, especially your customers, but let's start with our employees, because who cares? Dude, they see Libby at 6 o'clock in the morning. They see me look terrible. They see me look great. But I don't care because I'm conveying my message and my tone the way I need them to hear it at that time.
Yeah.
And so video is one of the best ways that you can use to communicate with, and just in general. If you Facebook message me, I ain't writing nothing back. I'm a voice message you back because I don't like to type. But using voice messaging and videos is so powerful in general. But during the hurricane, it is like probably what kept our company as calm as it did.
Yeah.
For Woot Recruit, like me not being there for 2 weeks and just checking in through video every once in a while, saying like, hey, I'm alive. Hey, we evacuated. Hey, we evacuated again. They could just see me and hear the tone in my voice and probably hear that I probably wasn't doing well or I was stressed out, and they needed to see. And text on a phone or a piece of paper does not convey that.
Yeah.
So there's no buy-in or rallying around you during those times. And the same thing with Organize It. If you're not using video or voice messages to communicate during a stressful time, a difficult time, like you're missing the opportunity to connect with your employees.
And I'm going to push back for those that are currently or were hesitating because they're a quirky introvert. And they're like, I'm just going to go ahead and text. I'm just going to go ahead and whatever. That's not going to fly. For me, myself, I'm like, it doesn't matter the quality of the video. I had to start from somewhere also. And as scrappy as rough as those videos were for me as an introvert, again, because it's a lot of stress, a lot of emotional stress to be able to be on video as an introvert. You just got to do it. Who cares? At the end of the day, it's the courage to be disliked. It's not caring what the hell other people are thinking or doing. It's just getting it out there. Because again, that's the most important part, is that if you don't get it out there, then you hurt people.
Yeah. So, man, it's been a great 2 weeks. I told Chris I'm a little upset because the amount of money. It's expensive to evacuate. It's expensive to prepare. Like, you have to go buy all this stuff, right? You have to go plan. Then you have to evacuate. And hotel was like $300 for one night.
Yeah.
And then you took all this time off of work. And then when you come back, you don't want to work. Teresa said she had to go, but she probably knows exactly how we feel. We're like,
she's like, I need a third toilet.
We need to focus, and we don't know what to focus on because you get just so off course and distracted. But at the end of the day, I told Chris, I'm like, I could have took a really nice vacation for 2 weeks to somewhere I wanted to go.
And you already had one planned.
Oh, and I was supposed to be in Bimini tomorrow. Bimini. Damn it. I was supposed to be in Bimini tomorrow for an EO retreat. And I'm super sad that we had to cancel the Bimini trip. Private boat, going to an island. I said, oh my gosh, I need to sit on a lawn chair for 3 days. But that was canceled. But we could have taken a great family vacation.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a huge distraction in your regular workflow, but at the same time, it's been a great learning lesson to just like how to build a better, stronger company. Also a great lesson of why you should diversify. Teresa said she needs a third toilet because both of hers are connected to weather.
Yep.
And I told Chris that the other day, man, I love having a software because Teresa, it's not connected to weather.
Yep.
Where, Organize It is connected to weather, whether we're in Oklahoma and there could be a tornado, or if you're up north and there's snow, or if there's a hurricane down here and there's water. With cleaning, especially residential cleaning, it is directly tied to weather, the economy, and social media.
Yeah. And I also see Brett Gard on here. I'm pretty sure that he's in Nevada, if I'm not mistaken. And so same thing, like with them, it's like the snow, it's the extreme weather. And then they have 5 months of downtime, basically.
Yeah.
4 months.
And so, I think diversification is huge right now. And I learned that lesson these 2 weeks, because the day we were closed, when the hurricane was hitting us, I gave the whole office off, but my office manager, for the Fort Myers location, she's my mom. So she was on and she was helping me with stuff. And, I said something, she goes, oh, we're cleaning. They got a contract for 25 cabins in the Paris location. And I was like, oh my God. That was the best thing that I could have heard on the day that we've already been closed for 2 days. We're down 50% of revenue, probably more. I haven't even checked after these. That was when we were closed for Helene.
Yeah.
And to hear we, they're cleaning. They got that contract. They had a couple jobs today. They got 3 new recurring customers yesterday. And she told me that the day it was we were getting hit. And I was just like, thank you. And now I know why all the work that we did over the summer to build the Paris location, it was hard. If you're going to open another location, or anyone that's a cleaning company or any kind of company,
mm-hmm.
to open that second location was agonizing. It was grueling. We were making the same mistakes over and over and not making traction, not making ground. And then finally we figured it out.
Yeah.
And it cost me a lot of money. But at the end of the day, looking back now, the month I spent in Oklahoma, helping get it off the ground, the money that I gave to invest into it to get it off the ground was worth it.
It's an iterative process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, no, I see Elizabeth. Is it Collazo or Collazo?
Collazo.
My friend said that snowstorms are easier than this. I don't know. I grew up in Maryland, so that DMV area, I could say that we've had a few blizzards, which I guess is kind of like the the opposite of a hurricane. It falls much slower, let's just say.
Does it?
If with the wind it picks up sideways, it could blow just as fast. But
Okay.
as it comes down, it's a little bit slower. But it's that pending doom.
I grew up in Tornado Alley, guys. Spent from when I was born to 18 in Tornado Alley. And I personally will take a tornado over hurricanes any day. And everybody's like, that's crazy. At least you can prepare. I'm like, yeah, it's 5 days of agonizing preparation that you don't know that it's going to hit or it is going to hit or no, it's not. And you can't even get, me and Chris wanted to just go to the store and buy steaks for dinner to eat.
Yeah.
Like 5 days ago, and we couldn't even get into the store. So with the tornado, I got about 60 seconds to prepare.
Yeah. And then how long does it last?
Not long, and it's very isolated and very direct. So I'm like, maybe I'll take the tornadoes. I'll take the tornado. But then I say that and we got hit. Florida had 126 tornado warnings on the day that the hurricane hit us. And that's second most recorded warnings ever, second to Alabama in 2004, which is absolutely incredible.
And only by about like 12.
They had 134. We had 127,
okay,
26, 27.
So even less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not that much less. So at the end of the day, you cannot prepare for this, right? Yep. He's in Reno. Yep.
He has it pretty good.
Your biggest concerns, are fires right
Okay.
now. Yeah. We had a fire and evacuated 5,000 people. That's awful. I've been seeing the fires over there. And, hopefully you guys are safe. But hey, Brett, I'd love to hear, and we think that sitting here listening to me, like, oh, I'm never going to have to deal with a hurricane. But like Brett in Nevada is dealing with fires. It's the same type of thing of how we have to approach it in a business way. It's the prep. It's priming the customers. It's priming the employees. It's planning. It's knowing how to still operate and sell without being insensitive or immoral. It's having a plan. And so you may think you'll never be faced with what I'm going through or even what Brett's going through, but I would beg to say that every single person would have some sort of disaster that they need to know will happen, right? COVID happened to all of us and taught us all so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so Brett said, Libby, how has EO shaped your leadership? Oh, great question, Brett. So I'm sure you're friends with Corey, right? Bettinghouse. Corey is the one who really got me into EO. He's in Reno. Oh, you're in Reno too. He's in Reno. I love EO. Chris, how do you think it's helped me shape my leadership? Let's ask my husband.
So hold on. Let's answer it through this, is that it's helped me shape my leadership just through absorbing what was being done and said. So I just think that it's been incredible to see, even just in you, how it feeds down to other people and actually creates better leaders around people around you.
Mm-hmm. He said he joined in November and he feels like he's a completely different leader. You are like, a lot of people come into EO thinking that, I need to learn how to grow my business. It ain't going to do that. Like, that's not what it's for. I somehow got elected to be the moderator of our group, maybe because I'm the organized one. I show up on time. But Brett, I drive 2 hours to my EO forum and chapter because there is no chapter or forum in Fort Myers. Fort Myers is a relatively small area. So I either had to go to Tampa or to the Miami chapter. So I chose the Miami chapter. Mainly Chris's sister lives over there and it's an easier drive, no traffic. The way it shaped my leadership, it taught me to shut my mouth and to stop giving advice, to stop teaching from theory and to start teaching from lessons. It taught me patience and it just taught me how to also share, right? The 5% reflections. that's an EO exercise, and it taught me how to share, experience, give through my experience instead of just saying, oh, I read this great book and you should try this. But you don't even know if it works because you didn't try it. It taught me how to be more open and transparent, and that's dangerous.
I think that's the
because I'm already open.
Yeah.
It taught me how to be open and transparent with my struggles. Because again, the 5% reflections, it's the 5% that happens to you that you tell nobody. You don't tell your husband. You don't tell your office manager. You don't tell your best friend, but you tell this small group of people because they know exactly what you're going through. And typically that 5% doesn't have anything to do with day-to-day or the business. Sometimes it's like you, or it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make payroll, or, oh my God, I'm getting sued. Or I'm having issues with my kids and I don't know what to do, or I'm getting divorced, right? We help them through their divorce. And it's typically mainly personal that I've learned through EO. Personal. It all comes back down to me personally, and how I grow and shape myself is then a direct reflection of how my businesses grow. It really has nothing to do with business when you look at it from a high level. But I'm so glad you found EO. EO Miami is huge.
It's one of the largest.
It's one of the, I think we have 350 members, something like 350 members. So it's really large. All I can say also is they have some great parties and socials and teachings. I get to take Chris to some, and he was like, man, this is great. And I took his sister to some. So it's a great investment. It is expensive. But when I was in Jonathan Potashnik's Service Autopilot Elite group, and when that closed down, I needed something to do. I needed somewhere to go. And I didn't want industry specific. I think there are pros and cons on industry specific. I think we need a little bit of both, right? So I'm in an industry specific group myself. I'm in CBF. And that's where I go for like cleaning tips, not cleaning tips, but like leadership when it comes to cleaning or management, or like, pricing and estimate and all that stuff that has to do with industry specific. But then I think we need non-industry specific groups, because we're going to learn things from a different perspective, from different businesses. And that was one of the greatest things I loved about being in the lawn care groups was in the cleaning group, everyone's doing the same thing the same way over and over and over. And I went over here and joined Jonathan's group, and their ideas, the way they do marketing, like just their interaction with customers, the way they use automations, was so different than that. I was like, that's how I started to look different than all the other cleaning companies, because when you're only industry specific, you're really not getting a lot of new ideas unless you have a member in there going and learning things in other groups and bringing it back. So that's what I try to do now in the cleaning industry.
Yeah.
I just made a great post. I should actually share it publicly. I shared it in the group about your marketing message during the micro economies, how your product and service doesn't change, your messaging changes. But I think we need diverse groups. So that's why I love EO. I'm learning from just different people, and you get different perspectives of all. I think my forum is like one of the most diverse forums ever. We have people from like all over the world, like it's global. So we're a very diverse forum. So the chapter's large, there's 350 people, but then you break into forums, which are small, intimate groups of the same 6 to 8 people. But Brett, that was a long answer to your question, but I have learned a ton.
And I would even say that, a large part because of EO is that we wouldn't be here actually sitting live as vulnerable as some weeks are with what we're saying. It's just kind of that next level mindset that it helps to provide.
Well, it taught me the power of experience share. So that's a term inside of EO. It taught me the power of experience share, and how sharing through my experiences has way more power and way more impact than reading a book and just giving you tips that I read from a book.
Which a lot of people do.
Most coaches out there, I'm sorry to say that. Like, I'm sorry, but if you've never owned a business and you want to coach business owners, I'm like, then how do you know what I'm going through? How do you know the pain and the struggle? I'm not going to say they're not good coaches. I'm just going to say I question how they can relate to me.
How is that information being applied?
How is the information being applied? It's just different. So it just taught me the power of experience and not to be scared to share it. Like share my failures, my wins, my losses, how I'm feeling. And you guys probably see that through my social media now. And that's one of the biggest things that EO has helped me with.
Yeah.
And so if you guys don't know what EO is, for anybody watching, I'll put the link in. You can check it out, but it's Entrepreneurs Organization.
Nothing to do with EOS.
Actually, Gino Wickman was a member of EO before he wrote EOS. They work. They're friendly, but EO makes it very clear that he was a member of EO before he wrote EOS.
Yeah.
And so I'll put the link in. The other thing that I loved about EO, Brett, is this is the first group I'd ever joined that they made me submit my tax returns to verify I was at the level that I should be at to be in this group. So in the Miami chapter, you have a $2.5 million on your tax returns, or you don't get in. Some chapters have $1 million on their tax, but it's not your run rate. It's not what you made last month. It is $1 million. Well, for Miami, Broward-Dade County, it's 2.5 million cleared on your tax returns. But that helps legitimize that you're going into the room that you want to be in.
Yes. And
so they make you submit your tax returns. And when I told Krista when I was joining, I think he was kind of like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
And it was a little uncomfortable, but I mean, hey, if you want to be in that room, you have to, you gotta do it. Same thing to get into Dan's group, the boardroom. Like you had to be at a certain revenue to get in and they want you to prove it. So but then the room is where you're supposed to be. Cause I've joined ones where I'm gonna say it's like the public school system. It's like the people that maybe want to run fast and they already know how to do this are slowed down by the people that are just learning it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it should be like segmented into the proper cohorts or rooms. And I think unless you ask for somebody's tax returns, that's really hard to do.
If somebody wants to run fast, let them run fast with people who want to run fast.
Yeah. So this was a great talk. I'm super excited to get back to work. I have a lot of things. I learned so much in marketing, so much from a marketing perspective and a communication. Like at what level do I need to communicate? At what level of leader do I need to be to actually lead confidently during this time?
Yeah.
Is interesting to see, like, at what level of leader is needed. So that's a great question I want to end on. We all think that, I won't have to go through that. But look at Brett and Reno with fires. Look, Joanne Williams in Boise with fires.
Yeah.
Look at Tennessee with flooding. Look at Florida with hurricanes. And so what I want to end on is, you may think that you would never have to deal with this, but I'm going to say that you're wrong, right? Whether it's like something like COVID that affected all of us. And I think it's national or natural disasters happen every so many years.
Yeah.
So count your years. Be ready, but you have to ask yourself the question, am I the level of leader needed to deal with this when it happens? Like what level of leader is needed?
I was going to say, and if that's not true, asking yourself what needs to be true in order for this to happen.
And I think that's a great note. That's Chris's favorite saying, what needs to be true? What needs to be true for that to happen? Because here's my tip to you, is that you have time to work on it, right? If these things aren't happening to you now, but now hey, like I need to work on myself. I need to have this ready. I need to be comfortable like videoing and reaching out and being a beacon in the community. What level of leader is needed? Ask yourself that question. But here's the thing, you have time to go build yourself up to that. You may have time. And look at things like industry specific groups, look at things like EO where it's not industry specific. And just work on yourself. Anything else, Chris? We've been on here for an hour.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so much more to say, but we can save that for another time, just with the amount of emotional unload. I haven't gotten anything done in the last week, just because of the emotional stress with the hurricane, but everything has its place. And I think right now is just that learning moment of knowing what needs to get done and how to apply that. Very specific. One toilet. And just, yeah.
One toilet.
I know. It's just, yeah. Just knowing when to focus on what.
Yep.
And it's all right to step away and to not do certain things because maybe it wasn't even generating traffic or momentum anyways.
Well, I think another big lesson I learned from this is all those things on your to-do list, all those things become really irrelevant during times of focus and during times of need and during times of like emergencies. And then when you go back and you sit and look at that to-do list, you're just kind of like, these things don't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're so insignificant and irrelevant, but they were weighing us down and slowing us down and making us feel bad because we had so much on our to-do list prior.
Yep.
When you go back, you're just kind of like, does it even matter if I make this? Like it was a far-fetched idea, nice to have, it'd be fun, it'd be cute, but it doesn't even matter anymore. It's not even that important or significant. I think that we beat ourselves up over our freaking to-do lists that are 500 miles long, but then in reality, how important are they really when you go back with a different perspective and you look at it?
Yeah. Same thing happened with COVID.
Same thing happened with COVID, right? Your priorities change. And I don't think you need a hurricane to show you that, right? That's why they always say start with the difficult things first, because by doing those, all the other things become irrelevant.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's wrap this up. We'll see you guys next Saturday. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, the feed. Me and Chris monitor it. We're happy to answer them. I'll make sure I drop the EO link in so that you guys can take a look at EO because it is a global nonprofit organization for entrepreneurs. If you haven't heard of it, it is great. I should be a sponsor for EO. But anyways, have a great weekend, guys, and we will see you next Saturday.
Bye.